If your bank account is frozen right now, or if someone you love just had their Social Security money locked behind a hold they can't lift, there is one form that can force the release of those funds within 48 hours. This form does not go to your bank. It goes to an independent office inside the federal government that most seniors have never heard of, one that has the legal authority to override a levy, override a hold, and order your money released on an emergency basis. It's free. You don't need a lawyer. And once it's filed, this office is legally required to respond to your case within specific time limits, not weeks, not months, but days. Stay with me, because I'm going to show you exactly what this form is, who can file it, the specific words to use that trigger the fastest possible response, and the two types of account freezes it can fix, because not every freeze works the same way. And knowing the difference is what decides whether you get your money back in days or wait for weeks. And there's a second path for bank freezes that aren't caused by the IRS, the ones triggered by your bank's own fraud detection system. That path doesn't use this form, but there's a specific process for it that most people never learn. I'll cover both, because right now you need the one that matches your situation. Let me start with the most powerful tool first. Inside the IRS, there is a completely separate, independent organization called the Taxpayer Advocate Service. It exists for one purpose: to help taxpayers who are experiencing a hardship that the normal IRS process isn't resolving. It operates independently from the IRS Collection Division. It has the legal authority to override IRS actions, and it has offices in every state. Most people have no idea it's there. The IRS doesn't promote it on the collection notices it sends. Banks don't mention it when they freeze your account. And when you call the main IRS phone number, you're speaking to general customer service, not the advocate. The Taxpayer Advocate Service can intervene when an IRS action, like a bank levy, is causing you significant hardship. Hardship means you cannot pay for basic necessities. You can't cover rent. You can't buy food. You can't fill prescriptions. You can't keep your utilities on. When a frozen bank account threatens any of these, the advocate has the power to step in and order the IRS to release the levy fast. The form is called IRS Form 911, Request for Taxpayer Advocate Service Assistance. And despite the name, it's not just for emergencies. It's for any situation where the normal IRS process is failing you and causing harm. Here's how it works when your bank account is frozen by an IRS levy. When the IRS levies your bank account, the bank is required to hold your funds for 21 days before sending them to the IRS. During that 21-day window, you have the opportunity to resolve the situation. But most seniors don't know what to do during those 21 days. They call the IRS mainline and sit on hold. They call their bank and get told there's nothing the bank can do. And the clock keeps ticking. Form 911 changes the equation entirely. When you file it, you're routed to the Taxpayer Advocate Service, a separate office with its own authority. If you can show that the levy is causing an immediate economic hardship, meaning you cannot afford basic living expenses, the advocate can issue what's called a taxpayer assistance order. That order commands the IRS to release the levy. In hardship cases, the Taxpayer Advocate Service is required to contact you within 1 business day of receiving your Form 911 and to start working on your case immediately. In urgent situations where basic needs are at risk, they can act within 48 hours to get the hold lifted. That's the 48 hours in the title. Not a vague promise. A documented process with a legal mandate behind it. Step 1. Download Form 911 from the IRS website at irs.gov. It is 2 pages. Step 2. Fill in Section 1 with your personal information: name, Social Security number, address, phone number. Step 3. In Section 2, describe the problem. Here's the exact language you should use, because specificity triggers the fastest response. My bank account has been levied by the IRS. The funds being held include my Social Security income, which is my sole source of income. I cannot pay for rent, food, and medical expenses. I am requesting immediate release of the levy due to economic hardship. Those words matter. Economic hardship, sole source of income, and cannot pay for basic necessities are the phrases that activate the advocate's emergency authority. Vague descriptions get slower responses. Step 4. Attach a brief list of your monthly expenses, rent or mortgage, food, utilities, medical costs, insurance. Show that without access to the frozen funds, these bills cannot be paid. This is the documentation that supports your hardship claim. Step 5. Submit the form. You can fax it to your local taxpayer advocate office. The fax number is listed on the IRS website under Taxpayer Advocate Service. You can also mail it or hand deliver it. Fax is the fastest method because the advocate receives it immediately. Step 6. Call the Taxpayer Advocate Service directly after faxing to confirm receipt. The national number is 1-877-777-4778. Tell them you just filed a Form 911 for an emergency levy release and ask them to expedite. **rehook***. Now here's an important detail. Form 911 works specifically when your account is frozen by the IRS. But what about the other kind of freeze, the one your bank imposes on its own? That requires a different approach. And it's the second path I promised. Under safe harbor laws now active in more than 30 states, your bank can freeze your account without a court order if their system flags a transaction as potentially fraudulent, or if they suspect you may be the victim of financial exploitation. When this happens, Form 911 will not help because the IRS isn't involved. The freeze is the bank's own action, and the process to release it runs through the bank's compliance department. Here's the fastest path to release for a bank-initiated freeze. First, call the bank and ask to speak directly with the fraud or compliance department, not a regular teller. Not general customer service. Ask for the specific reason the hold was placed and the estimated release date. They are required to tell you. Second, if the freeze is causing immediate hardship, say these words to the compliance officer. This hold is preventing me from paying for essential living expenses. I am requesting an emergency hardship release of funds. Banks have discretionary authority to release holds early for hardship, and many will. Especially when the frozen funds include federal benefit deposits like Social Security. Third, if the bank won't release the hold and you believe it's unjustified, file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau at consumerfinance.gov. The CFPB tracks these complaints and forwards them to the bank, which is then required to respond within 15 days. Filing a CFPB complaint often accelerates the resolution dramatically because the bank knows a regulator is now watching. Fourth, if your state's attorney general has a consumer protection division, file a parallel complaint there. Many states have specific elder financial protection units that intervene on behalf of seniors whose accounts have been improperly frozen. Let me give you 3 actions that prevent most freezes before they start, whether from the IRS or from your bank. 1. If you owe back taxes, do not ignore the IRS notices. The levy doesn't come out of nowhere. The IRS sends multiple warnings, including a final notice of intent to levy. Respond during that window, request an installment agreement, file for currently not collectible status, or contact the taxpayer advocate and the levy never happens. 2. Register a trusted contact person with your bank. This is a name and phone number the bank calls before freezing your account due to a fraud flag. Having a contact on file gives the bank a release valve. They verify the transaction with your contact, and the freeze often never triggers. 3. Pre-clear any unusual transactions. If you're making a large withdrawal, a wire transfer, or a payment to someone the bank has never seen, call the branch the day before and ask them to note it. That human note prevents the AI from flagging it and freezing your account. Here's the bottom line. A frozen bank account is not the end of the road. It feels like it. Your money is trapped. Your bills are stacking, and nobody at the bank seems able to help. But the tools to fix it exist, and they work. If the freeze came from the IRS, Form 911 is your lifeline. File it, call the taxpayer advocate, use the hardship language, and the process can move within 48 hours. If the freeze came from your bank, go to compliance, use the hardship request, and file with the CFPB if they won't move. And in either case, the 3 prevention steps: responding to IRS notices early, registering a trusted contact, and pre-clearing unusual transactions can keep this from ever happening to you again. Send this to anyone you know whose account is frozen right now, or who's living in fear that it could be. The form exists. The office exists. The 48-hour path exists. The only thing missing is knowing about it.